good humans. I'm Sarah. I'm back with my red-headed friend, Mel.
Hi there.
We are back today with some familiar faces and some new faces. So I've spoken to Darielle, well, probably a couple of years ago, Darielle Marie. We spoke to Natalie from Miracle Mama recently, and we're also welcoming Julie from Caring for Kobe. Today we're talking about, all of these are mums of children with special needs, but today we're focusing on the siblings and the family dynamic. So we're looking forward to finding out as much as we can
about how the siblings and how you balance the sibling connection, also their development while you're so focused on trying to learn about your children's special needs. So, yeah.
And any way that we can help, if you've got any questions, then always pop them below and we can filter them out to the mums and then the broader community as well. Yeah. So let's get stuck in.
Yeah, great.
So I'm a mother of two beautiful children. I have a 6-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter. My daughter actually has a diagnosis of a genetic condition called Rett syndrome. And so, yeah, basically my motherhood journey has been full of ups and downs. But, yeah, I'd love to share today on the siblings.
Yeah.
So very excited.
Great. Thanks, Darielle.
So my name is Natalie and I live in Melbourne with my husband Mauro and our two beautiful girls, Grace and Kiara. Our family, we love to go on adventures, and I think that our family life is pretty much one big adventure now ever since Kiara has arrived. She had a stroke and as a result she's unable to walk or talk and has a limited life expectancy. So we are living a very different family life now. This is 5 years ago that she was diagnosed. So we're very much in a place of complete mystery and a couple of miracles in there, and we're just going along for the ride.
So there's my husband Bevan and we have 3 beautiful children. Kobe is 12, Jasmine's 8 and Hudson is 5. Bevan and I actually carry the same bad gene. Out of all the hundreds and thousands of people that you could meet, we met each other, which has then caused 2 mutations in both of my boys. So they have just been diagnosed probably a year ago with a disease called CMT type 4, which is Charcot-Marie tooth disease, which is a degenerative disease. So really we're not really sure what the outcome will be in the future. And Kobe also has cerebral palsy. So we've got a big journey now and in front of us as well with having the 2
Absolutely.
with special needs. So
Absolutely. So I'd really love to put it out to the group and everybody to have their turn of sharing is actually how you feel and where you feel your child that doesn't have the special needs sits within the family and how they are impacted by that.
Well, for us with Jasmine being the middle child, we've found that she's had to grow up very quickly and take on a lot of responsibility that not a normal 8-year-old would probably take on. So she's actually surprised us how quickly she's adapted to having 2 brothers with the special needs. She helps a lot around the house without even asking now. She has a beautiful bond with both of her brothers. And she's just always there to help them, no questions asked. So she doesn't, she's just beautiful with both the boys. But I do feel that she has got a lot on her plate as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very quite similar. I think as far as sort of the role goes within our family dynamic, Oakley, being the youngest, he sort of hasn't really sort of noticed any change, I guess, in roles.
Hasn't never been any different.
Well, this is it. And so this is normality for him.
Yeah.
And I think for him, he sort of hasn't really noticed any difference until he sort of started school, really, and kinder and seeing different family dynamics there. But as far as he goes, I totally agree. His compassion and empathy for not only his sister and family, but also for other children I see in the school ground. His teachers comment about how much of a beautiful heart he has, and I think that's all just come naturally for him. It's not something that we've had to push. It's just part of his journey, and I really feel like this has sort of set up the foundations for him as he grows into an adult, that he's been, you know, on this journey. You know, maybe hasn't chosen to be there, but he's there, and he's got all these wonderful gifts that now he can take into his future. So
That's a common thread for sure. So Grace grew up pretty much in hospital waiting rooms because she was 3 when Kiara was diagnosed, and so she, a little bit similar, she's had to learn to sort of grow up and look after herself in some ways. But in saying that, it's brought out a really nurturing quality. Like she's seen Kiara in plaster casts and the hospital post-operation care, so she's always been very caring, very protective of Kiara, very intuitive, and just adaptive. Like she'll understand when things change, or we've got an appointment will run longer, or so she's just become a lot more fluid and understanding that life moves and it, you know, it shakes and then it comes back, and so she's quite her wisdom is beyond her years completely. So I think that she's just become more evolved little being. You know, from these circumstances, and being in the hospital, we've been to, I think it's almost 300 appointments at the Royal Children's in 5 years. So she sees, if you go to the hospital, you see a lot. You see a lot there, and she'll stop and she'll stare and she'll ask questions, and you know she's curious and she's worried. But then it helps her see that her sister is, you know, not always so different, you know. So it's been quite an evolution for her in her own way. But she's definitely ahead of her years, and I wonder if that's because who she is as a being, or is it because of Kiara? You know, we'll never quite know. You'll never get the two realities played out. But she's very protective, very proud of her sister, which is amazing.
And so the common thread there obviously is the compassion, not just for their siblings but in general. But is there anything in particular that has surprised you about them over the years?
I think just the way that they have adapted to their life as it is, and how different it can be to their friends, and just how much more responsibility that they have without really knowing it.
And taking it in their stride.
And they, I know for my Jasmine, she's just a beautiful, caring little soul that would do anything for anyone. Not just her brothers.
I've noticed what surprised me the most is just how intuitive Grace is with her sister. I mean, that Kiara's non-verbal, so she has no way other than, you know, her eye contact or her cries to tell us what's happening. And a few times, Mauro and I have just been at a loss, like we just cannot crack the code. She's so distressed, she's so upset. And then we turn to Grace, and I'm like, Grace, what does she need? And Grace almost went, she'd be like, just even watching the television, she'd be like, she's hungry, she wants a banana. You know? And more often than not, that she's just so
know.
in tune. Whereas I think as parents, we have a lot of the layers of fear and the worry on top of, whereas she's able to just get straight to the point. And I think her sense of adventure has surprised me as well. Like when we've had so many equipment trials. Our house is like a special needs equipment, you know, sales room, and she'll just jump in she'll get into the standing frame somehow, or she'll get in the wheelchair. And she brings the adventure to it. She doesn't, you know, whereas I'm kind of a bit like removed, going, this is a bit surreal, all this stuff, but she'll bring the adventure. So that's kind of surprised me. A lot.
Jazzy will get into Kobe's wheelchair while he's in his walker, and they'll have races. I love it.
And it's normal. It's like they're adaptive play.
That's right.
It's like instead of, you know, playing hide and seek around the house,
I
they
love
just
it.
That's
adapt.
gorgeous.
And you mentioned very briefly there about obviously as the parent, you have all the other layers, with one of them obviously being the fear and, you know, the unknown. What is it, and this might be a question that is really, how long is a piece of string, but what is it that you really worry about most in regards to, you know, little brothers and sisters?
I think the biggest thing that concerns me a little bit is that time where, you know, Grace will have, you know, peers might be like, oh, your sister's different, or they might challenge her, or diversity might not be as embraced by people in the schoolyard. And I wonder how, when that time comes, how will she manage that? Because it's okay for her. It's okay for her to not always be such a huge advocate. And I don't expect her to be.
Yes.
So I think it's important that if she has a little bit of, not shame's not the right word, but a little bit of discomfort around maybe the sounds that Kiara is, quite loud sounds, or the movements that are different, and she's cool with it, but her friends might be like, whoa, this is, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
And so I think that, I do worry about how she will deal with that, but then I think, she's had two solid examples of two people, especially with the work that I do, because I'm a huge advocate for embracing diversity, that she can see that, when those hard conversations come, that you stand there and you give it your all. And
it's a bit like the movie Wonder. Isn't it?
Haven't seen that.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, I need to see
the ad
it.
alone. When I was really sure, I was like, oh.
And the sister in that is just beautiful. Like ready for but it is beautiful. It's got so many beautiful messages in it, hasn't it?
And you can really relate.
Well, you guys,
we can.
Absolutely. And you, Darielle?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think from my perspective, I used to worry so often and so much, and it used to really put me into a place of suffering. And so now I kind of, when I'm in a place of suffering, the kids are suffering too, because our children just feed off our energy, especially children with special needs, because they're so sensitive. But I think from my perspective, definitely, there's instances where perhaps Bella is unable to go to an event that we've been invited to. It might be a birthday party, or it might be something active like a jumping, a trampoline party or something like that. And both kids have been invited, and it's like, sometimes there's times where we just have to say no because I might be on my own and I've got both kids. And so my worry probably from that perspective comes from a place of, is he missing out? But in saying that, now I think, we've had years of kind of, time to be able to adapt and try and make things work. And so my husband and I tend to tag team a lot. And the other thing is, I've kind of had to really drop that whole guilt thing, mama guilt, and be able to just reach out for support and be able to actually ask people and say, would you mind minding Bella while I take Oakley? And so, but the other, off the back of that, I think when he does get to experience those things, he's so incredibly appreciative.
Yes.
And that's stuff that you just can't teach. Like it just comes naturally that he really, really enjoys the moment when he's able to do those things. And so, that's probably one of the biggest things that comes up for me.
And you, Julie?
So Bevan and I were actually talking about this the other day about, what worries us the most with having the two boys and with Jasmine. And I suppose it's the unknown of what happens when we're not around and who looks after them when we're, when we can't, or, we're not here. And we don't want Jaz to feel like it's then her job to care for the boys, because hopefully she will have her own family and do you have those responsibilities.
Do you think naturally, as much as you say, I don't want my child to have that responsibility, but it's almost imparted that she, from her heart, she will actually want to.
Yeah, I think she will.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Not that you want to put that onto one of your children, but naturally I would imagine.
There's that peace of mind that there's someone that is there, that really,
or that they might
really
even
knows
follow
them.
that regardless.
And they probably want to do it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Natalie, because Grace is obviously in primary school now. What grade?
Grade 2. She's 8.
Yeah, and so you mentioned obviously with your concerns around what will friends think, etc. Have you found that you've had to deal with any of those challenges already?
Yeah,
or?
we have. We even back in prep, but one of the girls said to Grace, why does your sister not talk? What's happening? And she said, so mate, because I was like, how's she going to deal with it?
I wasn't ready for that one.
And then Grace just effortlessly said, oh, no, she does talk. She just talks on the inside. I thought that's phenomenal. But as she's getting older, I can see, like, for example, the other day I had Kiara with me and I was carrying her, didn't have all the equipment, so I had her on my hip. and we were dropping Grace at the school, and we thought we'd come in, and Grace was playing on the monkey bars, and Grace was sort of signaling to me like, just kind of keep a little bit of space, because all her friends started to come. And later that day, she said, and this is how it was, she said, look, I'm really sorry, Mum. I said, you never have to apologise. And she said, oh, I just, she's just getting to that readjustment, and there will always be new levels of readjustment, I believe, as Grace grows, as Kiara grows, and her needs get wider and different. And so I just keep a really open conversation with her about it. And let her vent everything, and it's okay. She doesn't have to be all. Because usually I'm like, we're very like, yes, come on, hang that disability sign proud. She's like, Mum. So I have to let her come to it in her own way. Like I've had a lot of experience with my mother, but it's a different. I don't want to push her and make her feel pressured to have to be a certain way. I think naturally she will, because she cares for her, but she's impressionable. But I think
well, I would probably say, and it doesn't matter whoever, there's always the little waves of learning and non-learning and regressing and then learning a little bit more. And so it would be the same thing, is that a child would go, okay, I'm really cool with this, and actually today not so.
Exactly.
Not so cool today. And it's just being like graceful in that, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's
Being
like us
allowed
as
to have
mothers.
those.
I'm not cool with this today.
Good and bad days.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's important.
And teaching her that she's allowed to feel that way too.
Exactly. I really am all for honouring that space for her to feel the uncomfortable feelings, because it is, it's a huge diversity that we have to bridge the gap with. And I think siblings I think the special needs siblings are the key to that, like joining everyone together on that. But I think it's just giving them space to do it in their way, not in the way that we think it should be done. So it's good. It's good for me to kick back a little bit, and Kiara's just cool. She's cool. She's like, I'm happy to watch my sister, and she's just excited. She's smiling at everyone. So she's cool.
Well, going back into you just used the word honouring and honouring the sibling space. Do you feel that you need? I know as a mother, I like to have a bit of one-on-one with each child, and it doesn't always happen, mind you. But in my mind, I like to have that time. Do you find that you can, or it is something that you choose to do?
For us, I think probably in the last year we've sort of decided that we need to have that one-on-one time with Jazz, because we've just noticed that she's, saying, oh, you're always doing stuff with the boys, or we're always going here, and she's the same. She gets dragged around to all the hospital appointments, all the, physio, OT appointments, therapy appointments. So we make sort of once a month, either Bevan or I will take her out for dinner, just her, and she chooses the place where she wants to go and what she wants to do, and just make it a special time for her, because it's very rarely that we do get that one-on-one time with them.
And what are the conversations like when you do? Are they different when you have that one-on-one time? Are they different from what they are at home, having that freedom?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Get a wheelchair.
Jasmine, you can't get a word in. She just does not stop talking.
Really?
And just about anything and everything. Generally, the boys don't even come up. So she's just, I think, so excited to get everything out, and probably because she doesn't get the chance at home.
I keep getting all lumps in my throat when I have these stories. I'm like,
Very emotional.
It's funny because Bevan and I always get home and we go, how was your night? And we go, oh my God. She did not stop.
Gorgeous.
download.
It's probably her way of venting out.
Absolutely.
But it's nice too. It's nice to have that one-on-one and
absolutely
have that normality.
And you, Dario?
Yeah, so we definitely do the sort of the one-on-one little time out with him, but we kind of build in every day. So Sometimes of a night time, he finds it hard to settle. And so we do we call it the meditation hour, but it's like, it ends up being kind of half an hour, but we just lay with him in bed.
Yeah.
And chat about the day.
Yeah.
And he'll talk about, he's actually, for a 6-year-old, he's actually quite open. So he'll talk about anything that's happened at school that he's concerned about, or the fun things that he's done for the day, and same sort of thing. He's just non-stop talking. But it's such a beautiful opportunity for him to be able to wind down and have that one-on-one time. And so Ash and I alternate each night, and he knows, like, Mum, tonight's your night with me. And Dad, he knows. And he tries to drag it right out, But so we sort of try and build it in. It just a small snippet each day, which is so incredibly helpful for him.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because even having a son, it's the same with Jack.
I think it's a boy.
It's at night time. If I do the same, and I'm like, mine's 6 foot now, so it's almost a bit awkward. But if I lay next to him in bed, he's just and talk to him, it's blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So it's such a
for them.
lovely ritual.
Yeah, and I think mine started because he didn't want to go to sleep, but now of course you take advantage of it because you want them to be able to talk to you about everything.
Yes,
it always seems,
it's a nice time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, every mum of boys that I know says the same thing. It's the nighttime conversations when they after school's like,
grunting.
Nothing comes out.
response.
And then teenagers is, I love you, Mum. I don't love you. I don't love you. Can't wait for that. And Natalie, how do you manage?
Yeah, similar. So a lot of the nighttime, definitely we have, we'll lie in bed together and chat. But I guess aside from that, I feel that we're just in this never-ending conversation. So even if it's I pick her up from school I haven't assigned much time, just Grace and I. It just hasn't really worked like that. We try every now and then. She's done like a date day with her dad, with Mum and my husband, and but something probably I need to be a little bit more mindful of, just to have some time just with her outside of Kiara and things like that. But the way that I'm managing now is just to have this, we're just in this constant conversation.
Yes.
And where that picks up, if it's in the car, or if it's, on the way to falling asleep at night or what have you. We've just got to be a bit more creative with our time.
I think you've just got to take it when you can too.
And I can relate to that, because we don't do many one-on-one, separate things. But I think as a family, we're all so connected that he will just open up and tell me how he's feeling, and so I feel like he will anyway, which is quite comforting. But
And so for other parents who are watching who potentially maybe at the start of their journey, or have just had a child who's been diagnosed and have other children, or who are travelling the journey, or who you mentioned before, Darielle, that you've learnt that I guess being in the deep fog of guilt and despair doesn't get you or your family the happiness that you're kind of, I guess, looking for. What advice do you have, and what have you learnt in terms of not just raising children with special needs, but for their siblings?
I think the biggest thing for myself and our family has been gaining support. And as I mentioned before, like just trying to drop that whole guilt thing of, reaching out and asking for support. And I think for our family, it's taken me quite a while to be able to feel comfortable with that. But now we're in a real flow and a pattern. So support is probably the biggest thing. Getting people to come in and actually help to look after the kids. Not only to look after the kids, but to give us a break. Because I think when we have that break and we get to refresh our mind, we come back in and we have that whole renewed energy that we have to offer our children. And I think that's probably been the biggest breakthrough that we've had as a family, is being able to recognise that shift in energy when I walk back into the home and I've had a break. And the other thing is really just being able to care for ourselves as parents. Being able to, self-love's a bit of a buzzword, I think, but and there's many facets to that, but really being able to go out and create space for our mind, so that we can come in fresh and not have that overwhelming guilt and worry and fear and all these things that plague us when we just don't have that space. And so, from my perspective, they're probably the biggest things that the advice that I would give to other parents. And it's hard when you're at the beginning of the journey, I guess, because you're learning about it. There's so many appointments and there's so many things going on, but even just being able to grab 5 minutes to yourself to begin with is incredibly powerful. To be able to walk away and have a cup of tea or light a candle or whatever it is, really, really, really important. So
I think definitely the support, and I think first and foremost, just particularly at the start of the journey, because you're so busy anyhow, but just to implement self-care as early on as possible. Like, don't wait for sort of 4 or 5 years like what I have until your health does degenerate. And there's a Facebook that's going around at the moment, it's almost gone a little bit viral, about the statistics with special needs mums in particular and their health, and it's quite confronting. So it just, and rather than it just circulating through that, oh my gosh, we're in this place of like a victim to our circumstances, just to take action. So, the statistics are there, but to help us implement and care. So, and that is reaching out for support. I took a lot on myself at the start, more so because I was very attached to Kiara and I knew her and I didn't want anyone to come near her.
But also you're trying to learn, isn't
exactly.
it? You're trying to learn how it all works.
And you've got people coming in and out of your house all the time, from therapists to doctors, and you're having to deal with yourself first and foremost, then your children, then community, family and friends, and then these professional people, and it's a whirlwind. So I think that's one mistake that I made. I just put my care last, and I ended up needing a hernia operation that could have been avoided had I just kicked in with my physio, because I thought, I shouldn't, like, my child has such severe needs, I shouldn't be doing anything for myself. That's what I thought. So that message has to go. It's old, it's of no help to anyone.
No.
And I think there just needs to be that really solid, if I'm going to be of best service to my child and my family and my partner, then I have to put my needs alongside. It's not behind, it's not in front, it's just alongside of. And don't worry about the judgment. I was worried about what people were thinking. I really worried about that for a long time. What would they think if I'm off getting a massage? And things like that, particularly when my child has such severe, this is like life or death, it felt like at the start. She has a life-threatening condition. And it takes a long time to come into your own, I think. So I wish I could kind of go back and bypass that time and just do things straight away. And I guess it's busy, but you can find time. Whatever, if it's a massage or a walk or what have you. But don't be afraid. People want to help.
Definitely.
Help.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Is there.
Yeah, and because when you say that, you sort of, I think, did you have to go through that journey though to be able to get, like, at the time when you're first going through that, and you're fearful and you're worried, I guess that's where perhaps another layer of the community needs to come in and help and offer help, because you were worried of judgment, of what will people think, and you don't really know any better. It's only you guys can say this now because you've been through the journey and you've learnt the lessons.
But it was just interesting because Darielle just mentioned about birthday parties, and I'm just thinking about how other people could support that. It's like, actually, they've got a sibling and that's going on. Can I pick that child up and take them to the party?
Can I help with that?
Or ringing your mum
Sunday afternoon
or father to do that.
And people have many times friends have offered to take Grace to parties, pick her up and drop her off, because getting Kiara in and out of the house is a huge deal, and just being okay. And again, there's that guilt just because we're parents. Yes, we should in society go to all of our child's events to make us a better parent. But I'm like, no way. No. I would be so stressed if I go to that, jumping castle party. Like, take Grace and I will hang out with Kiara. So I think just that it doesn't have to be just the parents. I think the village is, Grace, I've missed out on so many of Grace's things to school, and I'm completely cool with that. Because it's better than me rushing there, getting stressed, and people have stepped in. So Grace sees that, okay, I don't have to rely on these two people and hold them to this impossible standard.
Yeah.
I've got a village around me. I've got my best friend's mum that will pick me up, and
And they feel that, like
Yeah.
when we're stressed, they're
frazzled.
That would be an extra burden on them of like,
Yeah.
oh my God, mum's stressed, she's juggling this and that, and
Yeah,
so,
they take it on.
they
Take
do.
it on. So I
Yeah.
think that's a really
And have you got any advice?
I think you just have to ask for help as well. Quite often I've had to ask for, friends to bring Jazzy home or drop her off, or and I think it's been important for us is to just put yourself out there and ask for ask lots of questions and advice, and especially from other people with special needs kids. Because I've found along our journey, the way we've found out a lot of things is by asking questions from people that have already been there and done that. So that's been really helpful as well. And, we've made some beautiful long life friends from our beautiful special needed kids.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
Connections are gorgeous.
And, we wouldn't have met those people if it wasn't for our children.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And did you find that the community support opened up a little bit more when, say, for example, Grace started kinder in school? What did you find that they were points when you were out in the community more? Or?
Yeah, definitely. And people would naturally ask questions, and they would offer. I mean, we would, when Grace was at kinder, we would sometimes be running late from the hospital, and a mum would make dinner because she'd know we'd be home from school.
That's
and just and it's great because sometimes it's hard on both sides because people want to help, your friends want to help, but you're so exhausted that you sort of don't want anyone in your house, but you need the help. So sometimes people would just leave things on the front door, here's some dinner, and it was great because I didn't have to have that social interaction when I was just at my lowest. I was just trying to get through the day. So I think it can be a complicated situation on both sides because as a friend it's like, I don't know what Natalie needs, I don't want to ask her, what should I ask her? And I have to really take ownership that my situation has changed dramatically, and I need to be really clear with what I need. And I need to, just say, actually, I do need that. Because your friends want to help you. People want to help you.
They do.
And it's just letting that, worry of judgment, I guess. Not a good mum.
Natalie was just bringing up before about your daughter saying, I just feel like I need a bit of space.
Yes.
But have there been moments for you two where you've gone, actually, it's sort of not alarm bells, but okay, things might not be quite okay at the moment and you've had to act on it, or you feel like that they're just sailing through with Jazz?
I think at the moment so far I think we're just sailing through.
So she hasn't said
no. She just takes everything in her stride. And, friends have said, why can't Kobe walk, or he talks funny, or things like that. And, if someone ever, like a little kid says that, we just say, Kobe's legs aren't as strong as yours, but, he is walking. So I think she's learned that from us as well. But I do worry as she gets older and Kobe gets bigger as well that, the kids and the social network, she will come across some barriers, and we'll just cross them as it happens.
I think for us, I've got this sort of just recently. Actually, I've had this newfound awareness around just how much support we've given to Bella over the years. Obviously, because she's needed it, it's been essential to her development. But just probably the last, I reckon, 6 months, we've started to, we're a bit hippie, we're a bit woo-woo in our family, so we do a lot of kind of healing things and, maybe a bit more alternative treatments, kinesiology and stuff like that. So just recently I've actually started to, take Oakley along to his own special appointments just every now and again. Because they do hold a lot. And I remember when I was, going through the years of diagnosis and those very early, I was teary so often, and here's my 2-year-old wiping my tears away off my face. Things like that perhaps outwardly he's not showing that he's held, but I've let go of it. I've done all this healing on myself. Bella's let go of it. She's done all this. We've done all this healing for her, but I have this awareness of like, hang on, what is he holding? Even though he's not showing it. So even just like, and often my husband will kind of go, does he really need to go to that? And I'm like, you know what? I feel he does. even if it's doing nothing, which I know it's not, it's that just kind of the odd appointment in there for him, and then he feels special, like, Oakley's getting a special appointment too, so that really works for us.
I love that.
Oh, I like that.
So taking that on now.
And make it special,
Well, so I suppose we're just coming up to
Community.
And what sort of advice you would give to community, recognising that your child, the sibling, what can they do to educate their children or their students or whether a sporting club, how can they educate our community to say, okay, this is going on for a family, and actually lots of families. So how can we support that family or connect and make things a little bit easier for them? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I think just starting the conversation. I'm just trying to think of examples within the community.
With starfish.
That's a great example, and we're really lucky with that they hold, programs for both special needs and neurotypical kids. But I'm just thinking in the broader community, even if there are events, even at, there's a local, on the weekends they might do the farmers market or things like that, and perhaps they could have a space where it's, wheelchair friendly. So when they're talking about it, they can just maybe a bit more inclusion. I'm not sure how they would do it. I'm just thinking out loud.
I like that.
Even when they have like some music festivals or things like that, just bringing things that the communities do, but perhaps just starting the conversation with whoever the event planners are, and then all the families. Do you know anyone with a special needs situation, and what do they need, and perhaps reaching out to them.
I like that.
Just that,
because I wouldn't have thought of festivals but you're in that space where you're like, I'd like to go to a farmer's market and enjoy like the rest of the community.
And the more people that are in the community that gather, like the Nippers is a fantastic example, because as soon as you see a fellow parent, like, we can connect heart to heart straight away. It is so refreshing to have a conversation like, how was your night? I was changing your feeding tube, this or that. You just get, you get each other. So to be out in community, and it doesn't have to be just all special needs, but you integrate. And it's really, really important, because sometimes it's easier just to stay indoors. Sometimes it's easier. So if we can just... I think it's just all about conversation. We're really lucky. Diversity is changing. It's massive right now.
Has it improved, do you think?
Absolutely. I already see it in just these short couple of years, but I think compared to maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I think we are so lucky. And I just think this new generation of children are just so aware.
I totally agree.
And I think the special needs siblings have a big part in that. I think they're not going to come up with as much stigma. I think things that we're just all changing consciously. People are really shifting and changing.
They're more accepting too.
We're so different, but we're so the same.
That's so true.
Absolutely. I'll just tell you, mentioning the whole stigma thing. I think it'd be wonderful if there was perhaps more education for
that's a good idea.
Even just like parent nights where parents of every walk of life get educated on inclusion, but also like I do feel like there's a big kind of like different perception for children with special needs, and it's like if there was some sort of education that kind of got to the core of, these children are just normal kids underneath all of this physical disability, and they're just a bright little light happy soul under there, and just having that awareness around when people speak around them, they understand everything under there, and the other thing I guess is just the support, and that's we discussed before how often particularly perhaps close friends that have grown up with us, they don't know what to say. They want to help. Everybody wants to help. We've all got a heart and we all want to serve in some way, but it's not knowing how, and maybe even just giving strategies or even just like ideas on how to start a conversation with a parent.
That's such a good idea. What questions to ask, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I think more the kids don't see a child with a disability, they just see them as the same as they're. So I think it actually comes from the parents.
It does.
So if there was just more education out there, and family evenings and things to educate people. it would be a lot easier for someone to come up to you and actually have a conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Because children at their core, when they're younger, especially before they've been influenced
Definitely.
so much, are much more accepting and welcoming.
yeah.
Like they don't sort of...
They don't see the
overthink things.
disability.
They don't,
So it is the adults.
And so even when I'm out by myself, or maybe I'll have Grace with me, and I'll see a mum with a child in the wheelchair, and I'm looking with this nod as if, oh my God, solidarity.
Yes.
No. But I'm like, I just want to go up and hug her. I just want to say, but even I, in that situation, I'm like, oh, maybe she just will be like...
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yes.
Like, I would love to...
Well, I always do a bigger smile. I always do a bigger smile.
I
And
just-
I'm like,
yeah.
oh God, this is working hard.
Yeah.
Like, we're working hard here.
People come up. We were at a shopping centre the other day, and a lady must have just been watching me. I was trying to feed Kiara, and she was extending. It was just this whole, convoluted situation. And she came up to me out of nowhere and said, "I've just been watching you. I just wanted to," she just thanked me. She said some beautiful words, and then I just started to cry. But I just said, thank you. Thank you for seeing the humanness in this situation. And I just was like, I don't want a medal. It's not about that. And she wasn't doing that. She was just validating and recognising.
Acknowledgement.
And that's all you need. You don't want to be like all those platitudes, like, oh, you're this or God doesn't.
No.
It's just like, and it really made my day. And we were like two strangers able to connect. I was so thankful for that. But even with that, I still haven't been able to approach many families when I don't have Kiara with me. When I do, we're like, whoa, you've got that thing. But I
Do you know, I think a smile says a lot too. If you're walking past someone, you see them in that situation, you see them, just give them a smile.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
I always smile when there's a child throwing a tantrum and the mum's crying. I'm with you. I get it.
It's so important, isn't it? You need that.
So we might wrap it up now.
Yeah. Thank you. And like we said at the beginning, if there's anyone that's watching, travelling the journey, has feedback, has questions, please get in touch, and we will seek advice and see what we can do as well. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Natalie. Thanks for having me. It's nice to catch up.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.